Friend, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. It's an honor to be able to speak with you this evening, as it is every week. I look forward to the time that we share together, and I offer certain thoughts and reflections, and I pray that you can receive them and get something out of them. In Jewish tradition, there is a custom to name a child after someone, usually a family member, who has died. It is the parents' hopes in receiving the name of an admired family member, the child will emulate in life the virtues of the deceased namesake. And when Jane and I were involved in naming our own children, we struggled with this a long time. And sometime, if you have a long time, either one of us or both of us could explain to you the naming process and how we got to our children's names. Expressing different names of God is an important theme in our Torah portion. Hagar, Abraham's concubine and the mother of Ishmael, refers to God as El Roi, which means God that sees me. Later in the portion, two other names for God appear. At the end of Genesis 14, after the story of Abraham's war of kings when he rescues his nephew Lot, Melchizedek, one of the victorious kings, blesses Abraham in the name of El Elyon, which means God Most High. And when God appears to Abraham in chapter 17, God uses the name El Shaddai, traditionally translated as God Almighty. There are a multitude of names for God that are part of Jewish tradition, such as this name you can't even say, you only say the letters, Yud He Vav He, Elohim, Hamakom, which means the place, Harachamim, the merciful one. There are literally, mystics tell us, 72 different names for God. Why does God have so many names in Jewish tradition? Why isn't one enough? My understanding is that no human being can fully grasp the reality of God, and therefore no one name is sufficient to fully encapsulate the grandeur and complexity and fullness and oneness of God. And we are told that only at the end of time will God have one name. We quote the words of Zechariah at the end of our adoration prayer, in fact. The Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day, the Lord shall be one, and his name one. That's the meaning of that. It's referring to all these different names will somehow come together in one name. This idea of multiple names guides us in our understanding of our religion in relationship with other religions. No one religion can fully grasp the reality of God. And thus different religions find unique rituals and languages and traditions to express their faith. This understanding is essential for religious harmony in our world. Let me share my own understanding of that I deal with in terms of my own theology, my own relationship to God and the world. I believe in the truth of Judaism. I'm an advocate for its beauty and brilliance. But I also believe that other religions have truths, wisdom, and understanding. A God of love has enough love for all humanity and for all manifestations of divine connection. There are, for example, and we live in this reality, there are irreconcilable differences between Jews and Christians. Christians know and serve God through Jesus Christ and know God through the New Testament. Jews know and serve God through Torah and the wisdom of the rabbis. Neither Jew nor Christian should be pressed into affirming the teachings of the other community. As Jews, we believe that God has made a covenant with a singular people, the Jewish people. But that does not exclude the possibility of other peoples, cultures, and faiths finding their own relationship with God. We each have our own names for God. This Shabbat is the second anniversary of our gathering in solidarity, remembrance, and suffering for the murder, the massacre at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh on Shabbat morning, October 27, 2018. That night, our congregation was filled in a way that it never has been filled before. So many Christians were here to be with us. And this is part of what I said, and I wanted an opportunity to say it again 2 years later, because I want people to hear it again. This is what I said to the gathering. The place was, I'm looking at this sanctuary that's empty, but it was packed, people with standing room only. I said, this is not an interfaith service. Yes, we are so blessed to have the incredible support of our interfaith community here. The comfort that our synagogue feels cannot be fully expressed. Yet we are holding our regular Shabbat worship experience, only slightly embellished. No, we are here for something else, to celebrate Shabbat as a Jewish community. I am blessed to be the rabbi of a congregation in the United States of America, a country rooted in religious freedom. Our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our government system, our shared values, our courts, our law enforcement officers, our fellow citizens are all saying to me, Rabbi Alan David Londy, you are free to worship however you want. If you choose not to worship, that's your right as well. But as a member of a religious community, you are free to gather with your co-religionist and to worship your God however you wish, in whatever language you choose, in whatever manner your tradition dictates. And we as a country will stand by you. We will protect you. We will honor you. We don't care whether we agree with you or find your way of worship to be absurd. But you are an American. You have rights. You have freedom. And we are going to stand by you by hell or high water. I cannot tell you how many of our Christian friends, upon leaving the synagogue, hugged me and said that evening, we were honored to be with you, to be part of your Sabbath. That horrible night of remembrance, I never want a congregation that full again for that horrible reason. But on some level, it was a surreal way of celebration. That people who call their gods different names are able to practice the idea of the dignity of difference, of recognition of alternative ways of faith. That there's no one who has a monopoly on God's essence. And we celebrate the glory of each other's traditions, not worrying about who is right and who's wrong. What chutzpah to believe that we have the right name, right formula for God, and other communities do not. Now, we are living in difficult times, my friends. In Israel this past week, they commemorated the 25th anniversary of Yitzhak Rabin's assassination. And the animosity and extremism which led to his assassination is worse than ever has been in the state of Israel, I hate to report. I worry about the fractures in Israeli society, and you know how much I love Israel. And in our country, there is this election. It is demonstrating that we live in a nation where our differences are often not honored. I'm worried, and why should I be worried about an election? I'm worried that extremists, white supremacists, militia people with their AK-47s and Glocks could raise havoc in our country because they cannot tolerate people who think differently, who pray differently, who look differently. They don't like people with darker skin tones. They don't trust democracy. They hate America's love of difference. They hate Jews because we're different. They hate their fellow Christians who respect other people's faiths. I want us to affirm tonight what we affirmed 2 years ago, because it is our only hope. It is our only prayer. A diverse, tolerant America, where we will accept the results of elections because all votes will be counted and democracy is holy, where we celebrate that others are different from us, where we stand together with people of other faiths in our tapestry of difference, because that is what God intends all the time. May our love of God that unites so many decent people of faith give strength and courage in this uncertain time. Lincoln's words are more relevant than ever. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Shabbat Shalom.